When police entered Ian Watkins's hotel room, they weren't ready for what waited inside. Not blood, not violence. Something far worse, a truth so disturbing. It would destroy a band, a fan base, and a generation's faith in its idols. Behind the fame, the screaming crowds, and flashing lights, was a man living a double life, one darker than anyone could have imagined. This is the story of Ian Watkins, the man who turned from a rock legend into a symbol of horror. Ian Watkins was born on July 30th, 1977, in Merthyr Tydfil, Wales. From a young age, he showed extraordinary talent in music, capturing attention with his voice and stage presence. By the early 2000s, he had become the lead singer of Lostprophets, a band that would quickly climb to international fame. Hit after hit followed. Albums topped charts, stadiums filled with screaming fans, and the media celebrated him as one of Britain's brightest musical talents. On the surface, Watkins's life was enviable. Glamour, fame, and adoration seemed endless. But beneath the bright lights and roaring applause, cracks were beginning to show. People close to him noticed strange behavior, unexplained absences, and whispers that hinted at something far more sinister than anyone imagined. Even before the world knew his name, there were whispers among those close to him. Strange behaviors, disturbing jokes, and an almost obsessive desire for control. Fame made him untouchable, and soon that illusion of power turned into something dangerous. Former friends would later describe how Ian began to change. He was no longer the passionate artist they once knew. He became detached, erratic, and cruel. Behind closed doors, his conversations turned darker, his fantasies more twisted. It wasn't about music anymore. It was about domination, control, and perversion of innocence. But no one, not even those who worked closest to him, could have predicted what the police would one day uncover. While Ian Watkins toured the world, playing in sold-out arenas, he was secretly building a second life online, a world where he could hide behind anonymity, where his fame became a tool of manipulation. He would use his celebrity status to attract young fans, mostly women who idolized him. He made them believe they were special, chosen by their rock idol, and slowly, he would twist that admiration into submission. Through private chats, he manipulated them, convincing some women to perform unspeakable acts, even to involve their own children. These weren't empty fantasies. They were recorded, shared, and traded. Proof that Ian Watkins wasn't just a predator. He was orchestrating a network of evil. When investigators finally traced his online conversations, what they discovered went beyond anything the UK police had ever seen before. December 2012, a cold, quiet morning in Wales. Police received a tip, not from a stranger, but from someone close to Ian Watkins. A woman, terrified, confused, but determined. She'd come across messages, videos, and a reality she couldn't ignore. It wasn't gossip, it wasn't rumor, it was proof. And that proof would soon shake the entire nation. When detectives first heard the allegations, they refused to believe it. Ian Watkins? The rock icon? The man adored by millions? But the evidence didn't lie. In his laptop, police found encrypted folders, hours of disturbing videos, images, and conversations. They found chat logs with explicit plans involving children. Not only did Watkins possess horrifying content, he was actively orchestrating it. The truth was no longer deniable. He wasn't a victim of rumors. He was the creator of his own nightmare. On December 19, 2012, Ian Watkins was arrested by South Wales police. Officers stormed his hotel room, expecting drugs or illegal items. But what they found was something far beyond comprehension. Multiple devices, encrypted hard drives, dozens of photos and videos that no one wanted to see. As police scrolled through his files, one officer reportedly said, "It's the kind of evil that freezes your soul." Watkins was calm. He didn't fight. He didn't scream. He smiled, almost as if he believed he'd get away with it. In that moment, officers realized they weren't dealing with a confused celebrity. They were dealing with a predator who knew exactly what he was doing. Weeks turned into months. Investigators pored over thousands of files, chat logs, and videos. What they discovered painted a picture more horrifying than anyone imagined. Watkins had built an entire network, a secret web of women and fans whom he manipulated. Some of them were mothers, and through his influence, he made them part of his crimes. He convinced them that what they were doing was love, that it was special, that only he, the rock god, could understand them. Every file, every chat, every image was carefully hidden, categorized, encrypted, showing just how aware he was of his crimes. The court later revealed that Ian Watkins even tried to convince officers that the materials were just fantasies. But the evidence spoke louder. There were real victims, real children, real lives destroyed forever. The courtroom had spoken. Ian Watkins was sentenced to 29 years in prison, plus 6 years on extended license. A life behind bars for the crimes that shocked the world. But prison did not quiet the darkness that had defined him. Reports surfaced that even behind bars, Watkins tried to manipulate others, sending messages and attempting to exert influence. Then came the shocking end. On October 11th, 2025, at HMP Wakefield, the man who had once captivated millions met a violent death at 48 years old. A fellow inmate attacked him, stabbing him in the neck, a grim and fatal reminder of the world he had created around himself. The legend of lost prophets was gone, and the man who had once stood in the spotlight left behind nothing but horror, betrayal, and a cautionary tale of how absolute darkness can hide behind fame. The news spread like wildfire. Every Lost Prophets poster came down. Radio stations banned their songs overnight. Fans who once wore his name on t-shirts now burned them in disgust. Parents cried, musicians went silent, and an entire generation felt betrayed. The band disbanded immediately, their legacy destroyed in an instant. In interviews, bandmates said, "We had no idea. We trusted him. He fooled everyone." Watkins had turned his fame into a weapon, and when that weapon backfired, it shattered everything in its path, including the lives of those who once believed in him. Psychologists who studied Watkins's case described him as a narcissistic predator. Every smile, every lyric, every performance was a layer hiding his monstrosity. He was addicted, not to drugs or fame, but to destruction. Every boundary he crossed fed his ego. He believed he was untouchable. Even in prison, Watkins continued to manipulate others. Reports surfaced that he was communicating with fans, trying to regain influence. It proved one thing: monsters like Ian Watkins don't change easily. They hide, they plan, and they wait. In the end, the name Ian Watkins became a curse in rock history, a reminder of how fame can blind people to the truth and how evil can wear the mask of talent. If this story left you shocked or intrigued, subscribe to Real Crime Vault. Every week, we bring you one new true crime story, revealing the darkest corners of human nature. Like, share, and comment, because inside the vault, the truth never sleeps.